Hi, I'm Steve Anderson, and today I'll be talking about ethics in our Australian canned tuna industry. I'm going to compare two common brands of tuna, Sirena and SAFCOL. Sirena is a very popular brand, and it's also my favourite brand of tuna. It happens to be a great tasting product, but I was initially attracted to the branding of this bright yellow tin on the shelf. I just love that mermaid illustration. And brand number two is SAFCOL, responsibly fished tuna. I'm quite familiar with the iconic and reputable name of SAFCOL. I just want to touch on the fact that supermarkets are making their own brands and they're all competing with similar styles and colours. And not only that, the certifications and the claims that they make are also very similar. In the past 10 to 15 years, there's been quite a few reports from various organisations, in particular Greenpeace. It seems that SAFCOL and Sirena and a few other companies have dealt with international supply chains that were sometimes not quite up to scratch in terms of Australia's ethical standards for sustainability, human rights and ethical business practices. Allegedly, Indonesian fishers have engaged in illegal and banned fishing practices before. Things like the use of fish aggregating devices, they call them FADs for short. These floating devices attract the tuna to their demise, but they also attract other species, especially the endangered ones like some endangered sharks and turtles. Also, their crews were unfairly treated. Workers were lured in with advertising and false promises, and then they were forced into labour, working under bad conditions. They had their wages and identification withheld by the employers. They'd be at sea for months and they'd have to work up to 21 hours a day. Can you imagine? Fortunately, the tuna industry has advanced since then, and it's supported by certifications, and it's also watched by human rights and environmental organisations. Unfortunately, though, traceability still seems to be an ongoing issue with some brands and their labelling. And then there were also concerns about mercury in seafood. All seafood has tiny amounts of mercury in it, but scientists say that it's safe to eat in tuna because they've done extensive testing and they've determined that you'd have to eat 25 to 35 95-gram tins of tuna per week to see any ill effects. That's a lot of tuna. Now let's take a closer look at SAFCOL's packaging. SAFCOL immediately has responsibility fished in the title, and I've actually been able to verify this claim. The artwork and the brand colours imply a natural, organic, calm sea and sand type of vibe. Straight away we can see that it's dolphin safe, 97% fat free, and both the can and the lid have ARL labels, which stands for Australasian Recycling Label. There's also a statement of compliance with the MSC environmental standard for fishing, and most importantly, SAFCOL has the MSC certification logo. MSC stands for Marine Stewardship Council, and they scientifically manage these fish populations. They have the cooperation of certified fisheries to ensure that healthy and sustainable tuna populations are there for the future. So SAFCOL was founded in 1945 by a group of fishermen so they could collectively sell their catch. And they're the only tuna brand that owns a cannery in Australia, and they also have one in Thailand. SAFCOL uses skipjack tuna, which is the smallest and most sustainable species. They grow to about 1 metre long, and they reproduce at only 1 to 2 years old, and they do that all year round in tropical waters. They have millions of eggs daily, and they hatch after only 1 to 2 days, so they're really sustainable species. Both SAFCOL and Sirena have extensive codes of ethics on their websites that you can go and look at. They seem to have similar core values. They cover everything from sustainability, labour laws and regulations, human rights, safe and fair labour practices, transparency, recycling and packaging. The list is a mile long. Sirena Tuna, on the other hand, was founded in 1956 by a young family from Italy who prepared the tuna like they did in the old country. On their website, they boast purchasing the largest fishing vessel in Australia in 1970. They also make claims like having the highest quality ingredients and high specification tuna, which actually just means that the tuna was specially selected by somebody. This is a good example of meta-ethics at work, meaning that claims are just moral judgments, using words like high quality and high specification. But who actually decides what is high quality and what is high specification? It's not actually a certification. Sirena are 100% Australian owned, but their products are manufactured at facilities in Thailand and Indonesia. Both brands claim to be dolphin safe, and Sirena even adds no drift nets. But dolphins don't usually share space with tuna, so this claim's a bit misleading. It's a selling point on the tin for the consumer. Sirena has been a member of the UK-based International Pole and Line Foundation, or the IPLNF, since 2013. They refer to pole and line repeatedly on the tin. In fact, all of these mini logos look like they're there to imply official certifications, but they're not. Looks a bit like greenwashing to me. This is the IPLNF's actual logo. Sirena uses another tropical species called yellowfin tuna, which is a bit larger than skipjack tuna. Yellowfin lives up to about 7 years old, and they're caught weighing around 100 kilos per animal. But they can get up to about 200 kilos if they're allowed to live that long. Yellowfin tuna is classified as subject to overfishing by the IUCN, which is the International Union for Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources. And it's also on the red list of threatened species, particularly in the Indian Ocean. The Marine Stewardship Council commissioned the University of Tasmania to research the sustainability claims of Australian canned tuna. It seems that many brands participate in greenwashing, which is making claims of sustainability without the actual official certification. They gave a sustainability score for their brand packaging, and SAFCOL scored 3.7 out of 5 because they're credited with the MSC, and Sirena only got 2.9 out of 5 because they're not credited with the MSC. Another government study revealed that around 80% of consumers check labels for sustainability certification. Goodfish website recommendations for 2019 said, say no to yellowfin tuna from international waters, say no to yellowfin tuna from Western Commonwealth waters, and eat less yellowfin tuna from Eastern Commonwealth waters. So, both SAFCOL and Sirena rate highly for upholding ethical standards. However, despite Sirena's popularity, its lack of MCS accreditation and the making of claims that seem self-certified, it indicates to me that they're more about advertising than actual sustainability. Therefore, SAFCOL is the most ethical brand of Australian canned tuna. Will I change my brand? That'll be in the next episode. Who knows?